What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Stocks to Watch. And there is some interesting developments from America. Uh, our markets were closed yesterday on account of Eid, and this is what happened. Just before the American markets opened, due to the Fed, hawkish view on the markets, and we saw like a big fall. So if you look at it in percentage terms, from the high to the low, we were down about 2% in the S&P 500. And then even today, I think we opened lower, and then post Fed's comments and even ECB, which is the English central bank, England central bank, they had very optimistic views about the European economy, and that is the reason we started spiking up. So we are almost back to the area from which this major move on the downside happened. Similar things happened, I think, in Gift Nifty as well. I'll just have a look at it and I'll show you. This is Gift Nifty futures. Similar thing you can see. This is where we closed. 10th April, somewhere around. This is where we closed, and then we had like a massive move, which was almost, I think, 300 points, maybe more. Yep, 340 points to the low. And then now from the low, we are already up by about 200 points. So net, I think we should be opening maybe 40, 50, or maybe 100 points lower. Currently we are 145 points lower from the closing that we had on Wednesday, which is 10th of April. So let's see how we open. The global cues have definitely improved. Maybe overnight we might have a gap building up in the American markets, and hence we might even open back up very, very flat, maybe 20, 30 points plus minus. So yes, there is heightened volatility that has just kicked in. So be cautious in all your positions. Starting off with the stocks that we discussed on Wednesday, on Tuesday, because yesterday was a market holiday. The first one being Max India, and this stock has been doing justice to whatever we've been planning. Last 3 days, we've been having a discussion about this stock, and this stock has been moving pretty nicely. I think in the last 3 days itself, the stock is up 10%. Now, we already mentioned that this is a illiquid stock, so kindly be careful. Kirloskar Brothers is another name which not only moved yesterday, but it is also ready to move tomorrow. And this is one of the few names which, for me, is an A plus play. Similarly, Tata Chemicals, JB Chem Farm, both of them moved okay occasionally, nothing really big. Even I had big expectations from Steel Authority of India Limited. I think I still have a lot of expectations from metals and chemicals. I will talk about that. So, these were the main major names which did really well on the last trading day, which is 10th of April. And now I think, the other names, they either had some profit booking or didn't even trigger an entry. Now, coming back to the watch list for tomorrow, I think we've got a lot of bunch of good names. Number one is HPCL, Hindustan Petroleum. I think the entire OMC pack would be interesting to see, bouncing off from an area of demand, creating a base. Now, with elections coming up, oil marketing companies are a little risky and more volatile to kind of trade. So be careful about that. Next up is Tirumalai Chemicals, and this stock has been on a tear. Now, what do I mean by that is just look at the base. This is a very, very big base. I think from 2022 to 2024, 2 years long base. And I think this is the case with the majority of the chemical companies, and we've been seeing this lately. So very, very interesting. I think Tirumala is going to be interesting. The only backdrop is that last day's action was a big imbalance move. So maybe tomorrow we'll have maybe we'll have to see like a base kind of a build up in this, and then we play this. But very, very interesting. Another stock from the chemicals pack is Make Money Organics, and the stock, we were discussing this I think a week back when this was basing around the areas of demand. It moved higher, now it's creating another base. So this is like a typical accumulation that's happening, so base over base structure. And I think just how metals surprised everybody, I think we were already prepared for the move in metals. But I think similar to metals, I think same China catalyst, China reopening, China, the consumption of China again ticking up with good production numbers. I think specialty chemicals is again setting up right now technically to explode. One of the favorite names for me tomorrow has to be NLC India. What a wonderful base it has created after tapping in from these areas of demand. I think another peer group stock for NLC India, which is Coal India, I think that should also be on your watch list for tomorrow. And if you see metals, energy, these are the kind of themes that are doing really well, and also chemicals. So I think this is time for you to keep a solid track on all of these names. Next up is NAM India, which is Nippon. Now again, big base. I don't usually like to trade these kind of breakouts without a base, but this is like a very big, wider kind of a base. Could be interesting to see on how it moves higher from here. Maybe this liquidates, comes down. So this is what my expectation is. Maybe it does something here and then it starts spiking up. So keep a good track on that as well. We've already discussed about Kirloskar Brothers. Very, very good base. I think volumes dried up, perfect base. Stock has been fundamentally very, very strong. And I think this is just ready to take liquidity above this high. So be very careful, and keep a watch list on, keep a watch on that. Next up is Semac Consultants. Now another small cap name, not very high liquidity, but according to the technical structure, I think this base is just ready to explode, and I think it can explode anytime. So keep a watch on this. Maybe don't trade this because of liquidity issues. If you're not used to trading mid caps, small caps, don't get involved in this. Next up is UPL. Now United Phosphorus Limited. Again, another agri chemical kind of a company, mostly into agrochemicals, setting up really nicely. Base is very solid. Now this has been like a laggard, meaning that the stock has been beaten down from a long period of time, and you can see this with its chart. Coming back to like monthly and weekly demand areas is like a good sign, and now it's even basing just like other chemical names. So if you just track the number of chemical names we've had in our watch list: Thirumalai Chemicals, Make Money, then we've got UPL, which is third, Tata Chemicals, Clean Science, two more to come, and SRF to come. So it's chemicals is interesting. Another name which is not my favorite, but it's at an area of demand, could be very interesting to see, is Bata India. Just making like a small base at a good area of demand. If the price starts to move in a bullish way, maybe up over 1390, 1392, I think there could be an opportunity. It's a slow moving stock, not a very high beta stock, very slow mover. So yep, you can keep this on radar. Next up is Tata Chemicals. Now, soda, I think I told you in yesterday, like the last previous episode as well, soda ash prices have, started to take a jump seat. And we've also seen chemical names setting up really nicely. So Tata Chemicals really has no reason not to move up. So I think if chemical pack, even another name is Clean Science, 2 years back had an IPO. Margins never expanded for the entire chemical space, and currently all of them, after reacting from these areas of demand, they're creating a base. So I think very, very interesting. Now, just because I'm covering chemicals, I'll just cover SRF right here. Now, if you look at SRF, another specialty chemical name, just look at the base from which it's trying to break out. I think this breakout is long due in SRF after being like the star stock in 2020. It literally bounced from like 500 odd levels to almost 2800 6 times in like less than 2 years. It has been consolidating for a long period of time, and I think right now this is ready. Again, I'm saying specialty chemicals is something that you should not be missing out on. Obviously entry is going to be a little difficult since the stock is a little volatile, but do keep a track on this. Next up, I've got Kotak Mahindra Bank. Now, I like the base that it has created, but again, it's a slow mover and there is supply on the top over here. So, I mean, maybe if there's some rotation happening, this could be interesting. CSB Bank is another name which I'm really, really interested in from the banking space. They had a positive catalyst. They updated, I think, on 2nd of April that, their Q4 gross deposits and advances were better than expected. That is the reason stock has been doing well since then. So you can see this is the say 3rd of April, like 2nd of April, stock opened gap up. This is where the announcement was made, and then the stock has been moving higher since. So could be very, very interesting to see. Next up, we've got Vardhaman Acrylics. Again, same setup that we try to trade. Tapping into weekly demand and then creating a base, narrow 5 days of narrow action. Again, lot of room to move. Next up, we've got is International Conveyors. Again, similar structure. So again, I'm not really a big fan of this because it has already tried to break out yesterday, like the last trading day. So it would be interesting to see how it plays out. But if you see, there's lots of liquidity to be grabbed in international conveyors over here. So I think I'm going to be interested if it actually gives me an entry. So CSB and SRF, both of them we've discussed. So we'll move forward. Next up is VTL. Another very interesting name. Big range breakout is what VTL is doing. So you can just see it's a very, very big base. Now textiles, I'm not really sure on what is exactly the catalyst behind why they are moving, but they, I saw a bunch of textile names also doing decently well. So this is more of, if it starts to move tomorrow, we might, execute a trade. Now, another interesting thing that I can see is the diagnostic centers. Now, just look at Metropolis. Such an interesting place, similar to SRF, a very, very wide base, and I think this base breakout is going to be very, very powerful, and you should not miss this at any cost. So keep a good track on Metropolis. I think if it starts moving beyond this, it's a no-brainer. Raymond, again, another name which is setting up similarly. Now we've seen heightened activity from institutional investors in Raymond. Now I don't really like these kind of base breakouts where the stocks, kind of starts to fail. But what it has done, it has tried to absorb supply in this area. And now, if the price decides to leave this range, I think it could have a quick fire move. So I wouldn't really be very interested in taking this overnight, but I think from an intraday perspective, there could be some action here. IOLCP, another specialty chemical name. And again, you can see it from your own eyes. I mean, specialty chemicals has just been doing like a cut, copy, paste replica every single stock. And I think it has liquidated the last lows. If I just zoom out, liquidated the last lows, got the weak hands out, and I think it's ready to move. So IOLCP, another very interesting name. Eicher Motors, very good base breakout. And this is a stock. This is a disclaimer. I already have a position in Eicher Motors. I'll just show that to you. Took it with all the members. So we purchased Eicher Motors somewhere over here. We got a good move. Stock pulled back a little bit, and I think it has all the catalysts. We've seen what two-wheeler stocks have done, and catalysts for two-wheeler and passenger vehicle sales have been good from FADA, which is Federation of Automobile Dealerships Association. So I think could be very, very interesting. Two more chemical names: Balaji Amines over here, Alkyl Amines over here. Again, entire specialty chemical sector is doing the same thing. So I think the China theme, which is metals and specialty chemicals, they are ready. IRCTC is the next name. Again, it's very small, tight little base it is creating. Could be very, very interesting to watch on how it moves. And if it does move, it might even take the other railway, group stocks higher. 20 microns, not yet ready. So I'll just remove that. And next up, we've got Capstone Facilities, small cap name, decent base, but wouldn't really trade. Neither would I recommend this Capstone, stock to you because I think this is too illiquid. Steel Authority of India Limited, one of the favorite names just because of the size of the base breakout. Again, even this one is witnessing. So again, usually these are traps set for people. A lot of people kind of aggressively enter here, then the stock does this, and then eventually it starts moving higher. So keep this on, your track. Don't just get into FOMO trading, but you should just, analyze that, there is some opportunity here. So whenever you see metal stock being strong, I think you should not forget sale. Next up is JM Financial. Again, a good decent base. Now this stock has been under RBI scrutiny, so it has negative news flow around it. So you can just observe it, but I would recommend you to ignore this. Another name is Axo Nobel India. Very, very decent base build up which is happening. So, and volumes have dried up, so I really like that structure technically. Next we've got Vesuvius India. Pretty average, not really the structure that I would appreciate, so I'll just remove this. AstraZeneca pharma name, base is good, could be interesting to see on what it does. Has been a volatile stock, not a lot of people trade this, but could be worth watching. Signature Global India, another name, nice base. There is supply overhead, but I think we've seen a lot of stocks, even though they have supply, they're just basically, trying to create candles like this. So keep this on your radar as well. Dodla Dairy, another name creating a good base. Um, was an outperformer in the last 6 months. You can see the moves that this stock has created. So I'll just zoom out a little to kind of show you what the stock has done. A little stretched in terms of valuations, and I don't really like it as a very, very bullish base. So what I would recommend is just keep this on radar, and we'll see next on what happens. Another specialty chemical name is Styrenix Performance Limited. Very tight little base. If the entire specialty chemical pack moves, I think this is also going to move. Another interesting name is from the real estate construction engineering sector, which is Aluwalia Constructions. Primarily, they take Bombay-based projects and decent base structure. So the stock had like a very big imbalance, a pullback, a base formation, and I think now this should be ready. Similar to Metropolis, I think Lal Path Labs is also setting up. Obviously, I would any day prioritize Metropolis over Lal Path Labs because Metropolis is basing out, very, very big base breakout. So, I just added Lal Path Labs in the list because I wanted you guys to kind of be alerted about that. GTPL, pretty average structure. SKF India, again, this is into the fabrication space. This is also setting up really nicely with a 3-4 narrow range candle formation. Keep this on radar. Piramal Enterprises, similar structure, ready to move. But again, there is supply on the left side, so not like a priority choice. Power Grid Corporation of India. So remember NLC we just spoke about, that is also setting up nicely. But again, I would prioritize NLC over this. Keep this on your watch list. Maybe this also starts moving. ICICI Bank, just like Kotak, trading near the highs. So there is definitely strength in banks. But again, I would prioritize CSB Bank over this. Next up is Tejo Engineering, base breakout on trying to consolidate in this range. Not really sure about this, but could be interesting. Apollo Hospitals, again, another base. There is supply over here, which I don't like. Supply is there. But if I think Lal Path Labs and maybe Metropolis moves, maybe all diagnostic centers and hospitals, maybe they start moving. Just a good structure. Next up is Gulf Oil. This has also been moving, and if I just zoom out a little, just to show you like a bigger picture, view of what the stock has been doing, I'll actually go to the weekly, and you see this is such a big base breakout. So last time it touched this in 2017, almost 7 years in Gulf Oil lubricants, and now again it's setting up. Maybe it doesn't move tomorrow, but this should definitely be on your watch list for the next entire week. And last but not the least, a stock which surprised many, which is Indus Towers. So after good updates, from Vodafone Idea's financials and their, the confidence that Vodafone Idea's management has given to repay the dues of Indus Towers, I think with 5G, rollout in full flow, this stock has had a lot of multiple re-rating triggers, and I am not a very comfortable buyer at this price point. I think it needs to pull back a little, maybe does do something like this, maybe create a small base over here, do something like this, maybe just pull back and then, maybe come to these areas or maybe these areas, so I'm going to be a comfortable buyer at that point of time. But if you're a momentum trader, you may even consider this. So all of these were the stocks of in my watch list for tomorrow. If you are new here or if you are an existing viewer, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button, comment which of these stocks are one of your favorites, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye bye, good night, and take care. And I wish you all the very best for your trading day tomorrow and the entire next trading week coming ahead. Thank you. Bye bye, and take care.